Hey everybody, happy Halloween. Today I want to talk about Paul McCartney and Wings' album Band on the Run. This is arguably Paul McCartney's best album with Wings, probably his best solo album. I know a lot of people just absolutely love this, and it's always ranked really high up when it comes to ranking the solo Beatles albums, and Band on the Run is always really high up there. As you know, for me personally, Ram is my favorite Paul McCartney solo album, but I do love Band on the Run. I think Band on the Run is just a fantastic album, and I totally agree that it's Paul McCartney's most commercial solo album, especially his first commercial solo album. This was released in 1973 at a time when Paul McCartney wasn't really favoring that well with the critics, because he'd put out his first album, McCartney, which was right around when the Beatles were breaking up, so it got overshadowed by the whole Beatle breakup thing. Then Ram came out, and it was just a little bit too silly and weird for a lot of people to get into. And then he put out his first album with Wings called Wings Wildlife, which was just kind of a more of a jammy kind of just bit of an afterthought of an album. Then he put out Red Rose Speedway, which I just made a video for actually last week, I believe. And I love Red Rose Speedway, but Red Rose Speedway also wasn't that much of a critical, a huge accomplishment as well. Although it did have a number one single from it, the single My Love. So, when Paul McCartney and Wings finally released Band on the Run, it finally established Paul McCartney as a major solo artist capable of putting out just top-notch albums. And so Band on the Run is a very, very important album for Paul McCartney and for just Beatles history in general. I want to talk about this specific pressing and some other ones I have over here that I think are considered very good. This one happens to be the best. It's currently on my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com. You can head over there right now. You can read about this very pressing, and you can check it out on my website. But let's talk about this one right now. This is a UK pressing, an early pressing of this Band on the Run album. Now, the UK pressing is a little bit different than the US pressing as far as with the US pressing, they included the song Hell on Wheels. Oh, and here's Bobby, by the way. He's going to come over here and look at this pumpkin because he's obsessed with this pumpkin at the moment. Baba. Okay, tap him on the boot. Okay, so he's probably going to sit right there. Bobby, you gotta move, baby. You gotta move. Go, baby. Okay, good. Okay. Sorry. Bobby rules this house, so whatever he wants to do, we kind of gotta roll with it. Anyway, I was saying that Band on the Run, the UK version is a little bit different than the US version. In the US, they added the song Hell on Wheels. So Hell on Wheels is not on the UK version of Band on the Run. And I actually miss it. I wish it was on the UK pressing of Band on the Run, because I think Hell on Wheels is a fantastic song. And I'm just used to hearing it on Band on the Run, because when I grew up with Band on the Run, I had the CD of it, and the CD had Hell on Wheels on there. So it's always weird to listen to the UK pressing and not have Hell on Wheels be on there. But it's not on here. And that's actually okay, I guess, because the UK pressing is so much better than the US pressing. It's just really hard to describe. If you have not heard Band on the Run, the UK pressing, you are in for a treat, because this is such a dynamic and just fantastic pressing of this really amazing Paul McCartney album. So, let me show you what this record looks like. It has its own unique Band on the Run black and white label there, which I think is so cool. And this record is in absolutely amazing condition. It plays so beautifully. It's just about as flawless as you can get. And I spent a lot of time trying to get a UK pressing of this particular pressing that was clean, and it was so hard to do. I don't know why it was so hard to do. I don't know if maybe like these pressings were just maybe some of them were actually pressed kind of noisy or whatever, because I got a lot of them that looked like they were in like mint condition, but as soon as you played it, they were a bit noisy and just not all that great. This one is absolutely fantastic. And in addition, it comes with the original poster, which is in here. So if you buy this one on my website, it comes with the poster, and it just sounds phenomenal. Now, why does it sound so much better than the other pressings? Well, the usual reasons. First off, it has so much more low end. The bass on here is amazing. It's so great. The opening track, Band on the Run, is absolutely just a mega fantastic recording, and it will blow your mind when you hear it on this pressing. It's the best Band on the Run you've ever heard. Same with all the guitars on this album, on this pressing, are just so in your face. It's hard to describe because on the US pressing, a lot of the guitars sound pretty good, like on Jet and on like Let Me Roll It, two really guitar heavy songs. On here though, on this UK pressing, they are so in your face and so electric that it's a whole new listening experience that it's really worth checking out, this UK pressing. So I really can't say enough about how fantastic this UK pressing is. So definitely go to the website, check this one out. Let me talk about a couple of other pressings. This is another UK pressing that I use. This is actually my copy of Band on the Run. This is a early UK pressing, very similar to the one on my website, which I also love. I treasure a whole lot. Had this now for about 1.5 years to maybe 2 years, and it's my go-to copy. I love it. So great. Really excellent. Now, this is another good pressing of Band on the Run. When Paul McCartney signed to Columbia Records in the early or the late 80s, I guess, right around the time of Back to the Egg, part of his contract with Columbia allowed Columbia to re-release a lot of his previous albums. So they did do that. This happens to be one of those releases. This is Band on the Run on the Columbia label. And this actually, it sounds very good. This is, if you ever find a copy of this, and they're getting harder and harder to find for whatever reason, if you ever find a copy of this, it's worth picking up because they sound very good, especially for a US pressing. If you need to get a US pressing of Band on the Run, and this one, by the way, includes Hell on Wheels because it's a US pressing. If you need to get a US pressing, I would recommend this Columbia pressing because it just really does sound good. By the way, it has a really cool inner sleeve here, which the British pressing also has. This one does not come with the poster, unfortunately. But let me show you this Columbia pressing. The label's a little bit different, but pretty similar to the British pressing. It's just a little bit, the picture's a little bit smaller. But again, this one sounds very good. So if you ever find one of these Columbia pressings of any of Paul McCartney's albums, they're worth picking up. So, this is one that I will listen to this one every once in a while, just when I want to hear Hell on Wheels, because Hell on Wheels on here does sound very good. Now, moving on, this is absolutely a beat up, very bad shape Band on the Run, but I wanted to show this to you because this is the very first Band on the Run that I ever owned, still own it, and this is a US pressing from Capitol, and it is in just absolutely terrible shape, but I had about 4 other US pressings of this to use when I was doing this listening experiment to try to figure out if there maybe was a US pressing that did sound a little bit better than the one that I'm so used to listening to. But they all are very similar. And this is the label for the US pressing. And actually this record is in very good shape. It's just the actual sleeve and everything is just beat to hell for whatever reason. Back when I was young and dumb and I didn't take care of my records, they would just get in bad shape. Although I'm thinking this one didn't start out in good shape when I bought it anyway. I know I bought it used, obviously. But this is the US pressing, and like I was saying earlier, it just does not compare to the UK pressing at all. It's a bit thin sounding at times, doesn't have as much bass at all. It's almost got like a narrow stereo image as well. It's not quite as wide as the UK pressing. It's if you ever found this in the store for under $10, sure, it'd be worth picking up because it's Band on the Run, it's Paul McCartney, and you can't go wrong with really any pressing of Band on the Run because Band on the Run is such a great album. I want to X out that good I just said and include great because it's a great album. So yeah, the US pressing, nothing special, but if it was the copy you had, that'd be all right. Now let's talk about this. This is Band on the Run. This is from the Paul McCartney Archive Collection. And this, I believe, I think this was made. Oh, yeah, this is a U.S. pressing of the Archive Collection. This is a gatefold, which is always very, very cool for the Archive Collection. Now, this includes a bonus disc that it has has like Hell on Wheels on here. It's got Country Dreamer, which is a B-side. It's got a bunch of songs from the One Hand Clapping TV show that Paul and Wings filmed at Abbey Road, but they never released it. But it's got a bunch of songs from there like Bluebird, Jet, Let Me Roll It. In fact, the version of Jet on here is excellent, I have to say. If you haven't heard that, check it out. But this, like I said, it's from the Archive series. This is a very, very good sounding version of Band on the Run. Now, I was talking to one of my friends on Instagram, and we were actually discussing Band on the Run, and he was saying how he really likes this pressing a lot, but he said something that I totally agree with. He said, it's really good, it's just very different than the UK pressing. And that's exactly right. It is very, very good. It's just like a whole different listening experience, though. It's hard to explain. It's almost like it's not remixed in any way, but it has been remastered. And the remastering on here, it's just a whole different ballgame altogether compared to this original UK pressing. Now, if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely choose the original UK pressing, just because it's just so much more dynamic, has so much more of that analog magic that I'm always talking about, because you just really can't beat it. You can't beat. This is exactly how Paul McCartney wanted the album to come out, how he wanted it to sound, and it sounds really, really great. But this is also very, very good and worth owning, especially for the bonus tracks. So if you ever get a chance to pick up the Paul McCartney Archive Collection of Band on the Run, you should definitely, definitely do it. So those are my copies of Band on the Run that I used to figure out what the best pressing was, and it just so happens to be this exact pressing. And if you go on to needlemeetsvinyl.com right now and check out Band on the Run, I am having a special Halloween discount on this album. So if you enter in the word Halloween in the discount code area, you will get $5 off of this pressing, just because it's Halloween and I love Halloween, and I like to include a little treat for all of you. So head on over to needlemeetsvinyl.com. Check out this Band on the Run. Check out a bunch of other albums I've uploaded. And have a happy Halloween. And I will talk to you all very soon. So bye for now.